Episode 4, Sunday, week 3 of January 2010. It's our first pay-per-view of this save. We've got Genesis 2010. We've been building this pay-per-view in the first 3 episodes, and now episode 4, we have reached it. I'm Phantom TEW. If you do like this video, make sure to leave a thumbs up and a comment down below what you think we should be going for our next pay-per-view against all odds. So, we're deliberately pricing this event quite cheap because we want a decent crowd for this. And where are we holding it? We are in South Carolina, in the Florence Civic Center, which is a lot smaller than we can actually sell out. But I would rather have that sell out, which is something I can brag about. It's more of a thing in real life, I think, and there's an Elton John speech about it. If you first time in an area, which is our first time in South Carolina, you pick a smaller venue, you sell it out, and you build buzz for your next time in there. Obviously, that doesn't work in-game. That's not how it works, but I'm trying to do this in almost a realistic way, and that makes sense in my mind, so I'm going to do it. Screw you. But let's get into the show. It's time for TNA Genesis 2010. We've got 2 matches on the pre-show, just for the live crowd, almost dark matches. And the first one is Kota Ibushi, making his TNA debut. Now, the reason for this is quite simple. I normally don't like hiring people just with foresight knowledge in these historical mods. I wait for they have to have popped up on my news feed for them to have reached my eyesight. Like, I'm not just going to search out like whoever's Adam Cole at this point is a very young wrestler. I'm not just going to search him out. If he pops up on my newsfeed, I acknowledge he exists. But other than that, no. So the reason I've got Kota Ibushi then is because AAA announced that they were not renewing his contract, which means technically his only contract now is with us and Evolve. So he's an exclusive US talent, which is interesting, let's say. It's weird to think of Ibushi as an exclusively US talent, but that's what he is right now. And he beats Cody Deaner here, 10-23 with a standing shooting star press. Gets a 35, which, considering his pop differential against Deaner, is insane. He's got Deaner's in the mid-teens, low 20s for pop. Ibushi's got 5, and Ibushi's outperforming him in a company which popularity is over performance. That's a great start. I think Ibushi's going to be a massive figure in the X division for the next few years. 36 rating. Next, knockouts match, as Molly Greenwald has her first singles match, and she defeats Daphne in 10-21 with the Molly go round. She gets a 42, which makes me think, is she still holding back? No, so 42 is roughly where she's going to be. So she's higher than Daphne, who got 40. I love Daphne, she was great. But yeah, so Molly picks up the win with the Molly go round. Great start. And let's go on to the main show. It kicks off with a highlight package, video package, basically hyping up our 2 main events. Samoa Joe versus Kurt Angle and Bobby Lashley versus Styles. It's written as if it's a tag team. It's obviously not. We know this. But 65 rating, great stuff. Opening match on the card is the big tag team match set up on Monday Night Impact. Jeff Hardy and Sting defeat Christopher Daniels and Rhino when Jeff Hardy pins Christopher Daniels with the Swanton Bomb. Jeff Hardy is somebody who I am pushing to potentially be the star of TNA, the big figurehead. In a similar way to how they did in real life, but we're not going to do some of the stupid things they did. Jeff is an amazing babyface. Did you hear that, TNA? And yeah, so Sting's the only one who's actually declining. So I think Daniels and Rhino are going to be great assets into the world title picture for the first few years, I reckon. Because they're not declining at this point. So they're still good. They're great in the ring, and they're pretty over. 62 for Daniels at 59. Whilst obviously it's not currently on the level of Sting and Jeff, that's still pretty strong. 74 though is a great opening match. Next up, Amy Dumas in singles action. And yeah, so Dumas' stamina is not great and gimmick is awful, so we'll probably work on that as soon as we physically can. The 62 though, great stuff. For the TNA Global title, why the hell is that 39 rating? What? No, I don't, what? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, well, no, to be fair, yeah, dominating. Eric Young dominates Bully Ray, squashes him pretty much. Defeats him with a wheelbarrow neckbreaker to make his second defense of the TNA Global title. And he comes out and cuts this promo. Well, I've written it down, actually, so. Everyone always underestimates him, and time again, he proves everyone wrong. So he wants to know, anyone around the world can challenge for the global title, but the Canadian will always be champion. And he gets interrupted, continuing our relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling, by the current IWGP Heavyweight Champion, Shinsuke Nakamura. Making his second appearance on TNA, because he made an appearance on a Random Impact in 2008, I think. And he challenges Young for a match Against All Odds. So that's going to be the next global title feud, kind of. Nakamura's not going to be on Impact much between now and then, so it's going to be Eric Young building the feud on his own. It's going to be a big match at the pay-per-view. And I think that's what it needs to be. It's good stuff. It debuts Nakamura and continues our relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling. We then get a little interview segment. It's Don West and Jeremy Borash both doing separate interviews in the crowd, and they find Mick Foley and Ric Flair, two of the legends we've got on our roster. And basically they asked them questions about tonight's major matches, what they just thought about Nakamura, the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, turning up in Impact. And it's basically a way to kill time and get very good talkers on the show. 79 rating. X Division title on the line, as the Amazing Red defeats Shannon Moore in 10:41 with the code RED to make his first defense in-game, I don't know if he had more IRL, of the X Division title. 56 for Red and a 49 for Moore is pretty good. 57 overall. And yeah, Red's stamina's annoying. Like, I know he was going all out, but both of them, it was still quite a way under the normal limit for an all-out match. 57 rating. Next up, Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match. Shouldn't have been elimination, but we're going to pretend it wasn't an elimination. Simple as that. Give me a second. There, nobody noticed a thing. Beer Money defeat the British Invasion, Motor City Machine Guns and Generation Me, with the finish being the Machine Guns hit Made in Detroit on Jeremy Buck, only for James Storm and Bobby Roode to throw them out of the ring and pick up the pin. And then Beer Money steal the pin from the Motor City Machine Guns and win the TNA World Tag Team Championships. Because 53, best ratings in the match was Bobby Roode, Chris Sabin, and Jeremy Buck. Interesting. We go through the road agents. A lot of positives, but I more care about the negatives. Disrupted by injury, which is Alex Shelley getting broken ribs, which is really annoying from what I'm about to show you. Yep, Brother Ray, I noticed that. Because the Motor City Machine Guns start blaming Generation Me, and they turn heel. Beating down the Bucks, leaving them in the heap in the middle of the ring, before hitting the Made in Detroit on Jeremy again, and mock pinning them. Turning both Chris Sabin, oh, that didn't go down well, and Alex Shelley heels, which neither of those turns went down well, which I don't know why. They'd been built up for 5 segments. That's weird, actually. I'll look into that. We then get triple threat knockout title match. Tara versus Hamada and ODB. Tara picks up the victory, pinning Ayako Hamada with the Widow's Peak in just under 12 minutes. Tara makes the first defense of a knockout style, but she carried this match in terms of performance. 57. Oh, that's insane compared to the others. I think similar to Dumas, was that similar earlier? So I think eventually that's got to be our big feud. One of them's going to have to turn heel, I guess. But a 53 rating is pretty strong. And that is... we're working on the experience for the announce team. So other than that, most of the negatives aren't in our control. So the things we can control are being fixed. So that's a pretty good sign, I'd say, that we're doing well. But we get our next challenge for the Knockouts champion, as it's Awesome Kong. She comes down and beats down Tara. Just almost like jumps over the barricade, starts beating her down. And she's staking her claim to be the next TNA Knockout champion. 51 rating. Great stuff. Match which was set up on Impact through the Desmond Wolfe's open challenge against Rob Van Dam, the one of a kind. And in a bout which has great wrestling and great heat and good wrestling even, Desmond Wolfe, there we go, that looks better now. Desmond Wolfe defeats Rob Van Dam in 1948 with the Tower of London. So this big debuting star, Rob Van Dam, has come in and lost. Desmond Wolfe has won. He hit the Tower of London, gets a 73 rating, a 67 for Wolfe, 69 for Van Dam. Great stuff. RVD's an amazing babyface, which we know. But there's not even any interference in this match. This is just absolutely clean. But Rob is declining physically. So yes, I don't think I'm ever going to have Rob Van Dam be TNA World Champion, as he was in real life. Because he's declining. I don't want to be seen as the retirement home which TNA at this point was. Let's be honest. It was all people who were declining in the ring, getting one last paycheck before they actually called it quits. 73 rating though is great stuff. Puts over Wolfe as someone who I want as a big time main eventer. He definitely will be holding the title at some point. Or at least I'm pretty confident he will. Knockouts tag titles, as Taylor Wilde and Sarita defeat the Beautiful People's Madison Rain and Velvet Sky, when Taylor Wilde pins Velvet Sky with a roll-up. Because of, we'll say, a little bit of miscommunication between Rain and Sky. Wilde and Sarita make defense number 2 of their Knockouts title championships. But yeah, 55 and 54 for Sky and Wilde, Rain, they're definitely people who should be going into the main event scene. 52 overall for the match, with Lacey Monarch, as always, doing great stuff at ringside. As long as we just don't put her in the ring too often, she does great work. Not too shabby. 52 rating though, great. And it's time for the 2 main events. Starting first, Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle both get big entrances. I've put them as one segment because if I'm talking about, couldn't think of ways to talk about it for 2 segments. 64 rating though. And the match goes 24 minutes, just under 25. And Samoa Joe picks up the win, defeating Kurt Angle with the Coquina Clutch. Gets a 79 rating, which is, I think, our best match so far. It was a spectacle, which they both have good psychology for. Low morale for Angle, which we need to sort out, which this probably wasn't the best result for that. Hector Guerrero is a great road agent, as we know. But Samoa Joe defeats Kurt Angle, taps him out, chokes him out even, with the Coquina Clutch. 79, great stuff. And now the main event. Bobby Lashley and AJ Styles. They also make their elaborate entrances. And it's a 75, so it's not quite as good. But AJ Styles defeats Bobby Lashley in 21-29 with a roll-up. He doesn't pin him with like a Styles Clash or a phenomenal forearm. It is a roll-up, because this entire feud we've been presenting Lashley as this monster who will beat people up until he decides he's done. And that's his undoing. I think the perfect match to compare this to is CM Punk versus Wardlow, where Wardlow could have won the match easily, but because MJF told him to keep beating down Punk, it eventually led to him losing. It's the same with this match. Bobby Lashley probably could have won this match multiple times, but because he kept going, because he kept pushing his luck to wanting to do more damage, it ends up costing him, and he ends up getting rolled up and losing his TNA World title shot. 75 rating is good stuff, not as good as the previous match, but I'll take it. And overall, the show ends with Samoa Joe coming out onto the ramp and facing off with AJ Styles. This is our big feud. Two, not originals, because obviously they were both in Ring of Honor before us, but two almost homegrown stars. These aren't the ex-WWEs. These are people that came in from the smaller companies and have become top names. So I think that does justify them as homegrown. A 68 rating though. I'm hoping we can get a little better. Samoa Joe struggling off script. God, it must be 2010. But what do we get overall? It's a 74, which is pretty good. Increases our pop in 53 regions, because for some reason we have a much better pay-per-view deal than we do a TV deal, which is really frustrating. But great stuff, and I'm excited to see where this goes. We now have the Machine Guns as heels, so we have another top heel tag team in our ranks. We have Awesome Kong making a presence known at the top of the women's division. Shinsuke Nakamura is here and looking for the global title. Amy Dumas picks up first win. Kota Ibushi turns up and will hopefully make a splash in the X division. And we are building to Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles. Potentially against all odds? I'm not sure though. But let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below. Give me a rating out of 100, I guess. That's how the game works. So why don't we let you guys use that rating system too? And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.